Hello, it's me again, Atus, and today we're talking a little bit about subbasses, particularly layering in dedicated subbasses underneath mid-layer basses. So let's have a look. I've just made a little thing to demonstrate some of the ideas in this video. So we have our sub-bass. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is generally I want to hear the sub-bass because I like sub-bass. And the best way I've found to make your sub-bass is just a bit fatter, a bit more effective, essentially, is just to put a bit of subtle distortion on it. Give it some overtones. So I found this one to be particularly effective. The Analog Design Black Box HG2 from Plugin Alliance. So we're just warming it up. We're not making anything too drastic, just so that, you know, if you can imagine yourself listening to your track on a phone speaker or something like that, you'd want to be able to hear these overtones that we're making, even on a speaker like that. So that's the kind of threshold, I guess, you can think of. Great, okay, so far so good. Now's the tricky part. I'm going to add a mid-layer bass. I'm feeling like an upright bass is going to fit with this sort of a thing. Okay, this is basically my go-to. This is free, this upright bass patch. Okay, stick it up the octave. Sounds all right so far. Now, here's the thing I want to really show you in this video, is that when you have a mid-layer bass, often what you'll do is, if you've got a sub underneath it, you want to cut out these lowest frequencies. The reason for that is because if you don't, you'll start to get phase cancellation between the two frequencies, or you'll get warbling if they're not quite the same pitch. And especially with an acoustic instrument over a synthesizer like this, that could be actually more a cause of warbling and inconsistencies in your bass than actually phase cancellation will be. So normally this sort of static EQ works fine. But if you've got a particularly jumpy bass line, sometimes what can happen is your bass line actually goes above the cutoff. And that means that all the harmonics are getting through just fine, including those low ones, which are going to result in phase cancellation between the two layers. We don't want that. And so you could just set the cutoff a bit higher, but the trouble with that is often you lose that really nice low mid-range bass stuff, which is really critical to the warmth of a track, especially for like liquid drum and bass things. So we don't really want to do either of those things. What we really want is a filter that follows the notes. And this is where Serum effects can be very, very helpful. If you've got a copy of Serum, you have a copy of Serum effects. It comes with Serum. I don't see it being used loads, but it's actually very handy. So I'm going to get rid of this EQ. I'm going to replace it with Serum FX. Right, so the next step is to make a MIDI track. Just a bog standard MIDI track, doesn't have to have any sounds on it. How do we do that? You can tell I don't have to do this a lot. Okay. And then we just copy the MIDI, as you'd expect. Great. Now we route the MIDI into Serum FX. That's this one. And now we have key tracking and MIDI info coming into our Insert Effects plugin. So what we can do now is just make a standard filter. Let's go for a 24 decibel per octave high pass. And we're going to take our key tracking from Serum FX and put it on a cutoff. Full bandwidth. You can see that's already doing something. Right, I'd say the easiest way to set this is to turn the cutoff all the way down to the bottom and boost the resonance a bit. That way, when there's resonance at the cutoff frequency, you can hear where it is. So you don't need to worry too much about whether it's right or whether it's not. It's fairly obvious where it is. And then we just sort of scroll until it sounds good. So we can hear we just hit the fundamental frequencies. Let's go a bit higher. There we go. So we're now at the first harmonic, which is the octave up. That's a good place I generally find to set the cutoff. So we'll do that. Take the resonance down. Let's give it a bit of drive, that sounds nice. And we can hear now, or in fact we can actually see, if I get the frequency up, the filter follows. I think that the velocities are a bit uneven, I think. So we can see the distribution of harmonics is equal, no matter what note it's playing. That's great, that's what we want. So then where we pair it with our sub, there should be no phase cancellation at all. Great, that just sounds like a fat, upright bass, essentially. So with the drums. Fantastic. So yeah, this is very helpful. Neat little trick just to get slightly more accurate filtering on your mid-layer basses, as well as warming up those subs a bit so that that bass sounds really tight and really consistent. Thank you for watching. It's been me, Natus, and if you want any more tips and tricks, please go to my website. There's some free content there, like a sort of textures, atmospheres, sample pack, as well as information about sessions and private lessons online. So if you want to find out a bit more about that, follow the link below. And, well, it's been me, and I'll see you in the next one.